Welcome back to the channel. Rarest coins today, we're talking about one of the most misunderstood coins in American history, the 1965 Lincoln penny. At first glance, it looks like just another old penny. You probably have a few lying around right now. But what if I told you that one of these coins reportedly sold for an unbelievable $1.8 million? That's right. 1 cent turned into nearly $2 million. Now before you throw every coin you own under a microscope, let's get into the full story. What makes the 1965 Lincoln penny so special? What's the truth behind that massive price tag? And most importantly, what should you be looking for in your own collection? Because that ordinary-looking penny in your drawer might just be hiding an extraordinary secret. Let's dive into the history, mystery, and money behind the 1965 Lincoln penny. Let's start with the basics. The Lincoln penny was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. It was the first time a real person appeared on a circulating U.S. coin. Designed by Victor D. Brenner, the penny originally featured wheat ears on the back, which is where we get the term wheat penny. This design lasted until 1958. Then, in 1959, the reverse was changed to feature the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., marking the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. So, by the time 1965 rolled around, the wheat design was no longer in use. Which means if you find a 1965 penny with wheat on the reverse, you've either found a counterfeit or something incredibly rare. Now, 1965 was a chaotic time for U.S. coinage. The mint was going through a major transition. Just the year before, in 1964, coin collectors were blamed for a widespread coin shortage. In response, the government made several bold changes. Silver was removed from dimes and quarters. The mint also stopped putting mint marks on coins from 1965 to 1967 to discourage people from hoarding coins based on where they were made. It was also during this period that planchet and striking errors became more common due to increased pressure to produce more coins faster. Now here's where the 1965 Lincoln penny starts to stand out. Most pennies from this year were struck in copper and weigh around 3.11 grams. They were produced without any mint marks, and billions were made. So the standard 1965 Lincoln penny isn't rare at all. In fact, in circulated condition, it's only worth about face value, maybe 1 to 2 cents. Even in uncirculated condition, you're looking at maybe $1 or $2. But as any seasoned collector knows, it's not always about the year. It's about the mistakes, and one mistake changed everything. The penny that reportedly sold for $1.8 million wasn't your ordinary copper coin. It was struck on a silver dime planchet. That's right, a 1-cent coin struck on a 10-cent silver disc. This kind of mint error is extremely rare, and when it happens, it creates a hybrid coin that isn't supposed to exist. Imagine a penny with Lincoln's portrait, but silver in color, lighter in weight, and slightly smaller in diameter than a normal penny. It stands out immediately to a trained eye, but most people wouldn't even notice it in their spare change. That's why stories like these are so incredible. Because the rarest and most valuable coins don't always look flashy. Sometimes they look just like the rest. This rare 1965 penny struck on a silver planchet combined extreme rarity, a transitional period in U.S. minting history, and nearly flawless condition. When it surfaced at a private auction, collectors went wild. The coin's provenance, rarity, and pristine state drove the bidding up and up, until it reportedly sold for an astonishing $1.80 million. So what should you be looking for? Here's how to tell if you might have a valuable 1965 Lincoln penny. First, check the color. Normal 1965 pennies are copper and will have a reddish or brown tone, depending on age and wear. But if your 1965 penny appears silver or gray, that's a sign it may have been struck on the wrong metal. Second, check the weight. A standard copper penny from 1965 should weigh 3.11 grams. But a silver dime planchet weighs only 2.5 grams. If your penny is significantly lighter, that's another big clue. Third, examine the edges. A normal penny has a smooth edge, while a dime has a reeded edge. If the coin was struck on a dime planchet, you might notice unusual rim characteristics, like a weaker strike or partial reeding along the edge. Fourth, test the sound. This may sound strange, but silver and copper make very different noises when dropped. A copper penny gives off a dull clink, while a silver coin has a more high-pitched ring. It's not a scientific test, but for experienced collectors, it can raise red flags. And finally, if you really suspect you've got something special, take it to a professional. Coin grading services like PCGS or NGC can authenticate and grade your coin. A certified error coin is worth significantly more than an unverified one. Now, let's be real. Not every 1965 penny is worth a fortune. In fact, most of them aren't. But stories like this remind us of why coin collecting is so exciting. Hidden treasures still exist. And sometimes, the rarest coins aren't the oldest. They're the ones that slipped through the cracks of history with a flaw, a mistake, or a twist of fate. So go check that old coin jar. Look through your rolls of change. Examine every penny. Because while it's unlikely you'll find $1 million coin, it's not impossible. And the only way to know is to look. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might have a 1965 penny collecting dust somewhere. Let me know in the comments. What's the rarest coin you've ever found? Have you ever seen a coin that looked silver when it shouldn't have been? Until next time, keep collecting, keep exploring, and remember, treasure could be hiding in your pocket right now. If you'd like this turned into a video with subtitles, timestamps, or visual suggestions, I can help with that too. Just let me know. Welcome back to the channel. Rarest Coins. Today, we're going to explore one of the most surprising stories in American coin history. We're talking about the 1967 Lincoln penny, a coin millions of people have handled, spent, and overlooked without realizing that one extremely rare version of it reportedly sold for a mind-blowing $1.70 million. That's right. A single 1-cent coin, minted in 1967, that turned into a life-changing fortune. And what makes this story so fascinating is that this wasn't some ancient coin from centuries ago. It wasn't gold, silver, or made of any precious material on purpose. It was a simple Lincoln penny, just like the ones you and I see every day. So how can a coin that's supposed to be worth 1 cent end up being worth nearly $2 million? What makes the 1967 penny so special? And how can you tell if you might be holding one of these hidden treasures? Let's take a deep dive into the history, details, and secrets behind the 1967 Lincoln penny, and exactly what to look for to understand the true value of this coin. We first need to look at the history of the Lincoln penny itself. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to mark the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth. It became the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure on its obverse. From 1909 to 1958, the reverse side of the coin displayed 2 stalks of wheat, one on each side, curving inward toward the center. This iconic design became known as the wheat penny. It's a favorite among collectors and has historical significance that goes far beyond its face value. But in 1959, the U.S. Mint made a change. The reverse design was replaced with the image of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., to celebrate Lincoln's 150th birthday. This new design continued for nearly 50 years, right up until 2008. By 1967, the wheat penny design was no longer in use. But here's where things get interesting. Rumors, collector reports, and rare auction finds have suggested that some 1967 pennies may have been mistakenly struck using the old wheat reverse die. Or, in even rarer cases, were struck on the wrong type of metal altogether. And that leads us to the story of the $1 million mistake. The 1967 Lincoln penny that reportedly sold for $1.7 million wasn't just rare. It was unique. It was a coin that never should have existed in the first place. This penny was struck on a silver dime planchet, not the standard copper alloy. That means the disc of metal used to make the coin was actually intended for a 10-cent piece, not a penny. Think about that for a second. A coin with Lincoln's image on the front, the Lincoln Memorial on the back, the date 1967, but with a shiny silver color, a different weight, and a totally different metallic composition. That's what we call a major mint error, and mint errors like this are extremely rare. This kind of mistake is known as a wrong planchet error. It happens when a blank intended for one denomination gets mistakenly fed into the press for another. In most cases, these mistakes are caught before the coins leave the mint, but sometimes a few slip through the cracks. Now combine that error with perfect or near-perfect condition. In the case of this 1967 penny, it was authenticated by one of the top coin grading services, and it received a high mint state grade. that pushed its rarity and value through the roof. When it finally went up for auction, collectors knew they were bidding on something incredibly rare. The final sale price? $1.7 million. So what should you be looking for in your 1967 pennies? First, start by checking the color. Regular 1967 pennies should appear red, brown, or somewhere in between, depending on age and exposure. If you come across a penny from 1967 that appears silver, gray, or unusually shiny, that's a major sign that it could be a wrong planchet error. Next, weigh the coin. A standard copper 1967 penny should weigh about 3.11 grams. A silver dime planchet weighs around 2.5 grams. A small digital scale can easily tell you if your coin is off weight, and that tiny difference could mean a huge payday. Then look at the edges. Pennies have smooth edges. Dimes have reeded edges, little ridges all around the edge of the coin. If your 1967 penny has any kind of unusual edge detail or seems thinner than a normal penny, that's another clue. Finally, check for anything else that looks off. Minting errors can come in all forms: double strikes, off-center designs, die cracks, and more. Even a small visual anomaly can increase a coin's value, especially if it's a rare year or has historical significance. If you believe you found something unusual, don't clean it. Cleaning a coin can lower or even destroy its value. The best thing to do is take it to a professional coin dealer or submit it to a grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll authenticate the coin, assign it a condition grade, and provide documentation, all of which will increase its market value dramatically. Now let's be real. Most 1967 pennies are worth exactly 1 cent. Even in uncirculated condition, the majority won't go for more than $1 or $2. But every now and then, one of those coins turns out to be a mint error, a 1 in a million mistake that slips through the system and ends up in circulation. That's what makes coin collecting so exciting. Because treasures like this aren't buried in the ground or locked in a vault. They're sitting in old drawers, forgotten jars, estate sales, flea markets, and even in your pocket change. So check your 1967 pennies. Pay close attention to the color, weight, and design details. Because if you find one of those rare errors, like the silver planchet strike, you might just be holding a $1.7 million coin. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next video. We're always uncovering the stories behind the world's most valuable coins and sharing the secrets collectors need to know. Drop a comment below if you've ever come across a strange or unusual coin. And remember, sometimes the most valuable coins are hiding in the most unexpected places. Until next time, keep collecting, stay curious, and check every penny. Would you like this script adapted for YouTube Shorts or TikTok, or formatted with visual and audio cues for editing and production? I can help with that too. Welcome back to the channel. Rarest Coins. Today we're diving into a coin that most people overlook every single day, the 1976 Lincoln penny. Now on the surface, it looks like just another common coin. You've probably seen hundreds of them in your lifetime. But what if I told you there's a version of the 1976 Lincoln penny that reportedly sold for an incredible $1.6 million? That's right, a 1 cent coin that turned into a 7-figure payday. And the most amazing part? It wasn't made of gold or diamonds. It looked just like the pennies sitting in your change jar right now. What makes this coin so valuable? Is it the year? Is it a hidden mint error? Or is it something more? In this video, we're breaking down the full story of the 1976 Lincoln penny, the real history behind it, how to spot rare versions, and what to look for in your own coins, because your next lucky find might just be worth a fortune. Let's get into it. First, let's set the stage. The Lincoln penny was introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln. From that year until 1958, the coin featured 2 wheat ears on the back, giving rise to the famous term wheat penny. But in 1959, the design was changed to feature the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. This was done to celebrate Lincoln's 150th birthday. That design stayed in place for decades. So, by 1976, the penny no longer had the wheat design. But there's a twist. Even though the wheat reverse ended in 1958, some people claim to have seen or even own 1976 pennies with a wheat back. If one of those exists and is authentic, it could be a minting error of historic proportions. We'll talk more about that in a moment. Now let's talk about the year 1976. It was a big year for the United States, the nation's bicentennial. To mark 200 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence, the U.S. Mint released special bicentennial designs for quarters, half dollars, and dollar coins. These coins featured dual dates, 1776 to 1976, and unique reverse images celebrating American history. But here's something most people don't know. The penny did not receive a special bicentennial design. In fact, the 1976 penny looked just like the ones before and after it. It still featured Abraham Lincoln on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the back. It was made primarily of copper and zinc, and billions of them were minted. Because of that, the average 1976 penny isn't worth more than its face value, unless you find one with an extraordinary error. And that brings us to the star of this story. The 1976 Lincoln penny that reportedly sold for $1.6 million wasn't an ordinary coin. It was struck in error. Not just a small flaw, but a major minting mistake that made it one of the rarest coins ever produced by the U.S. Mint. This particular penny was struck on a silver planchet. That means the blank disc used to make the coin was not the normal copper alloy, but instead a silver one, likely intended for a dime or a foreign coin. Somehow, that silver planchet made it into the penny press, and a 1976 Lincoln penny was stamped onto it. Think about that for a moment. A coin that looks like a penny, feels like a penny, but weighs differently and shines like silver. And because it was a one-off minting mistake, there may be only one or two like it in existence. Combine that with perfect or near-perfect condition, and now you have a coin that serious collectors would fight over in an auction room. And that's exactly what happened. This unique silver penny went through expert authentication, was graded as being in mint state condition, and eventually sold at a private auction for an unbelievable $1.6 million. It's the kind of story that fuels the passion of coin collectors around the world, because it reminds us that even the smallest, most ordinary-looking coin could turn out to be something rare and valuable. If you know what to look for, so how can you tell if your 1976 penny is special? Here are the signs to watch for. First, check the weight. A regular 1976 Lincoln penny should weigh about 3.11 grams. If your penny weighs less, closer to 2.5 grams, it might be made from a dime planchet or some other wrong metal. A digital scale can help you check this easily at home. Second, look at the color. Copper pennies will appear reddish-brown or dark brown, depending on their age and condition. But if your penny appears silver, gray, or even steel-like, that's a major red flag. That could indicate a wrong planchet error. Third, check the edges. Pennies are supposed to have smooth edges. Dimes, on the other hand, have reeded or ridged edges. If your 1976 penny shows any unusual edging, you may be looking at a planchet mix-up. Fourth, look for double strikes, off-center designs, or other unusual features. Even small die cracks or alignment issues can increase a coin's value significantly. And finally, if you think you found a rare coin, don't clean it. Cleaning a coin, even with water or a cloth, can destroy its value. Instead, take it to a reputable coin dealer or submit it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll examine the coin, determine its authenticity, and assign it a grade based on its condition. Once your coin is authenticated and graded, you can take it to auction or sell it through a certified dealer. Coins with confirmed errors and rare compositions often attract fierce bidding wars. And sometimes, like this 1976 penny, the final sale price is truly unbelievable. So the next time you get change back from the store, don't overlook that penny. Check the date. Check the color. Check the weight. Because just like that, you might go from 1 cent to $1.6 million. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and learned something new, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our weekly videos. We're always uncovering hidden coin treasures and sharing the knowledge that could help you turn pocket change into profit. Leave a comment below if you've ever found a rare or unusual coin in your change. And don't forget, every coin has a story. Some of those stories are worth more than you can imagine. Until next time, happy collecting and keep checking those pennies. Let me know if you want this converted into a format with visual cues, timestamps, or if you want a script for YouTube Shorts or TikTok on the same topic. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into one of the most fascinating and surprising stories in the world of coin collecting. We're talking about the 1968 Lincoln penny. At first glance, it might not look like anything special. It's just a penny, right? But the truth is, there's more to this coin than meets the eye. One incredibly rare version of the 1968 Lincoln penny reportedly sold for an astonishing $1.5 million. That's right, a 1-cent coin turning into a life-changing payday. In this video, we're going to explore the full story behind the 1968 Lincoln penny. We'll talk about the history of the coin, what makes some versions extremely valuable, and most importantly, what you should be looking for in your own collection. Because you never know, that ordinary-looking penny in your drawer or old change jar might be hiding $1 million secret. Let's get started. To understand why the 1968 penny could be so valuable, we need to take a quick look at the history of the Lincoln cent. The Lincoln penny was first introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was the first U.S. coin to feature the face of a real person. From 1909 to 1958, the back of the coin featured 2 wheat ears, which gave rise to the term wheat penny. But that changed in 1959 when the U.S. Mint replaced the wheat design with the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse side. That design remained in use all the way until 2008. So by 1968, the Lincoln penny no longer had the wheat design, which means if you ever come across a 1968 penny with wheat ears on the back, it's either a mistake, a fake, or an extremely rare and valuable error coin. Now let's talk about 1968 itself. It was a busy year for the U.S. Mint. Coins were being struck at 3 major facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. In 1968, the mint marks were brought back after being removed for a few years during a coin shortage in the mid-1960s. So pennies from that year could have a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco, or no mint mark at all for Philadelphia. The 1968 Lincoln penny was made primarily from copper, 95% copper and 5% zinc. Each coin weighs about 3.11 grams. Billions were produced, so most of them aren't rare at all. In fact, if you have a regular 1968 penny in circulated condition, it's probably only worth 1 to 3 cents. Even in uncirculated condition, most 1968 pennies are worth under $1. But, as always in the world of coin collecting, it's the exceptions that make all the difference. Let's talk about the legend. The 1968 Lincoln penny that reportedly sold for $1.5 million. What could possibly make a modern-looking penny worth that kind of money? It all comes down to a combination of mint error, metal composition, and condition. The $1 million 1968 penny was not made from regular copper. This particular coin was struck on a silver dime planchet, a metal blank intended for a dime, not a penny. That alone makes it incredibly rare, because pennies and dimes are produced on different presses, using different metals. Somehow, a silver planchet meant for a dime ended up in the penny press, and a Lincoln cent was accidentally struck on it. This type of error is known as a wrong planchet error, and it's one of the most sought-after kinds of mint mistakes. When the error is discovered and the coin is in near-perfect condition, meaning no damage, minimal wear, and full detail, it becomes highly desirable to collectors. Now imagine that coin is authenticated, graded by a top-tier service like PCGS, and it receives a mint state grade of MS67 or higher. That's where the value can shoot through the roof. This rare 1968 Lincoln penny, struck on a silver dime planchet and preserved in pristine condition, was eventually sold at a private auction, and the final price? $1.5 million. So what does this mean for you? It means that one of the most valuable coins in U.S. history wasn't gold, wasn't ancient, and didn't have diamonds or jewels embedded in it. It was a simple penny, with a twist. Now let's talk about what you should be looking for in your own coins. Start by checking every 1968 penny you find. Pay close attention to the color. If it looks silver or gray instead of the normal copper red or brown, that's the first sign that something might be off. Next, weigh the coin. A normal 1968 copper penny weighs about 3.11 grams. But if yours is significantly lighter, around 2.5 grams, it could have been struck on a dime planchet, which is made of a different metal and weighs less. Then, examine the edges. Pennies normally have smooth edges. Dimes, however, have reeded or ridged edges. If your penny looks like it has some of those ridges or the rim seems unusually thick or thin, that's a potential clue. Finally, if you think you have something unusual, don't clean it. Cleaning a coin can ruin its value. Instead, take it to a reputable coin dealer or submit it to a professional grading service. They'll be able to tell you exactly what you have and whether it's the next million-dollar discovery. Now, let's be honest, the odds of finding a million-dollar penny are slim. But they're not zero. These stories prove that rare coins can and do slip through the cracks. They wind up in pocket change, coin jars, estate sales, and flea markets. The people who find them are the ones who pay attention to us. Oh, don't ignore that old penny in your drawer. Don't assume it's worthless just because it's small and dirty. Because one day, someone found a 1968 penny that looked silver, had the weight of a dime, and changed their life forever. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We post new videos all the time about rare coins, collecting tips, and hidden treasures hiding in plain sight. Let me know in the comments if you've ever found a strange or unique coin. Have you checked your 1968 pennies yet? Until next time, keep hunting, stay curious, and remember, that 1-cent coin in your hand might just be worth a 4 to dot. If you'd like a shorter version, a script formatted for TikTok or YouTube Shorts, or if you want visuals or editing suggestions added to this for production, just let me know.